Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while since we had a Voice of Yamato. We are live on Twitch, but this is also going up on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Episode 28 sadly could not be uploaded anywhere because it was copyright struck from every possible angle because we listened to the entire Kendrick Lamar album, and that makes perfect sense. We slum it on this podcast. We just kind of do whatever we want to do. And after week one, Superweek, it kind of makes sense to just have a brief catch up, to get some thoughts out into the universe and potentially connect with people that are curious. So I asked people to send in some questions, but I think before we jump into that, to just get everything out of the way, the future episode with Jizuke is something that we will do at some later time. I've been a bit lazy. It's like when we were initially planning to do it, first he didn't have his own room yet in his gaming house, and then I got hit by COVID, and then right after COVID this bit kind of just started for us in terms of preparation, and I've just had different priorities. But as I mentioned before, we just kind of slum it on this podcast, right? We don't follow a schedule. We kind of do this thing however we want to do it. As long as we're moving forward, I don't mind. I made the commitment to the commitment of just continuing with the podcast. Too many people say, yo, I want to do a podcast. Should we do a podcast? And then it never happens. So I'd rather do a scuffed one than nothing at all. And then maybe down the line we can sell it to some major corporation like Chiquita Banana. If they would buy my podcast, I'd be down. We could like paint a whole screen with bananas and fruit, something like that. I think it would be nice. Money well spent. Well, Superweek is over. First week was good to work with the new staff in terms of our preparation. I have Sense behind me, but you guys hear him clicking. Shaves was also here on location. Felt good. We took a lot of steps to split to make sure that we are more connected as a staff and that we are pouring our energy into the same thing. I think how the staff works also reflects on how the players work together. So it's important to lead by example. I think everyone last split tried very hard and worked very hard, but we weren't necessarily working together. And I think already I feel a lot better. It feels a lot less stressful, and I feel that we have strong direction in terms of what we want to achieve and do. The first Superweek, I don't think our level of play was that great, which is fine. In the end, it's just a Superweek. The main thing for us is just a question of how we improve and how we move forward. And I think that's the case for every team. It's like, how do you use the information that you've gained from the Superweek? What can you confirm? What do you need to work on? What are your perceived weaknesses? What are your perceived strengths? Because always with the Super Weeks, the tricky thing about Europe always is that we are always behind on patches. Ahead on patches. So we can't really take inspiration from other regions. And the other regions like LPL and LCK are always playing catch up and so forth. And that creates a circumstance where you can't necessarily take too much inspiration from those regions. And it's important to gather as large of a sample size as possible when you prepare your drafts and you prepare your identity, so to speak, coming into the weekend. And that's why after the Super Week you have so much footage now. NA played on 12.11, Europe played on 12.11. You have information on your opposition, you have information on yourself. How you stick the landing coming into week 2 is very important. So 2-1, it's a fine result. I think 2 wins, 1 loss, completely fine. I think that the game against Excel, of course, I think this game was over like 6 minutes into the game. and before 6 minutes it was like almost over. The main thing is, it's like we had a terrible draft, very, very wrong idea of what we wanted to do, and we had no chance of winning that game from the get-go. A lot of people are curious about, what is the thoughts and like why did we do something, but it would be a little bit too revealing of our overall strategy. The main thing I can say is like that the enemy team had way easier to execute, and I think Excel is a pretty solid team. And I don't think you can get away with doing bullshit in draft against them, because especially they delivered something pretty interesting, right? Not interesting, but rather strong. They had the Kalista, the Braum, they had the GP, they had a good combination going for themselves. And we were playing a lot of C-tier champs, maybe even D-tier champs, very bad champs, into matchups that are quite good for champions that are really, really insane in the current meta. Like picking Nautilus into Braum, or putting yourself in a situation where you have to play Draven into Braum, or like the LeBlanc and so forth. I think you could see a major adjustment coming into the next day, right? The next day was very different. First day, if I look at the other teams, I think Rogue is looking quite weak right now. I think they didn't play so well against us either. I think we had the better draft against them. The Morgana pick was quite brilliant from Hilly, of course, in that spot. Enemy had Jinx, Renata. Morgana's going to have a lot of value in such a game. And I think Rogue were exploiting some of the issues that we showed in terms of how we connect as a team. And we got caught on side a little bit, but then eventually it's like that fight that we had on the blue buff was quite disastrous. It's like Kalista was basing, Ornn was catching bot wave, and then they run in with 2 people on our blue and just get double killed. And I think this propelled the game into a position where they could no longer really play anymore, because Orianna, Draven, Draven cashed out big time, had a lot of gold. These champions are very tough to deal with when they have a black shield, and the range advantage was severely in our favor. Not so easy to play Kalista, and it was quite good. I was happy with it. They had Renata. Their tools to engage are not like super straightforward, single target. Morgana is very strong in those spots. The second day, we already talked about Excel. I just want to forget about that draft. It would be funny to hear you guys. A lot of people always flame the YamatoCannon drafts, which is fun. It's like I know what goes wrong, and I know why certain things happen. I always reflect on it, and I learn more. And it's always a very cooperative process between me and the players of trying to figure out, the middle ground between comfort and what is good. And hopefully those two things align if the practice has been, aligned in the right direction. And, it's my responsibility to make sure that coming into the game that the players are in the right state of mind to play the correct champs, right? So in the end, it is my responsibility, even though, it is a cooperative process, that the final thing, the final idea, it's like, my job is to make sure that the players are in the right state of mind to play the things that are correct, right? Can you explain the R5 into Excel comp? It's a very tough one to explain. It was just very bad. Very bad. And then no more comments on that one. Nevertheless, day 3, we had the KO, Wukong. Thank you very much, Girchuk, for the subscription. Thank you very much. Against SK, that was a pretty fine game. We had the Wukong, Kale, we had the Corki, the Corkster. It's like the enemy team picked Victor into our Corkster, and our Corki was winning lane. Like Marek was an absolute machine. I think Marek absolutely smurfed the third game that we played, and then the first game I felt like even getting that double kill on bot really was huge against the Rogue, but also I think the performance of Wunder on Gwen was really insane. And looking at the teams, if I look at the teams, like if I compare the performance of all the teams, I think G2 is definitely the team to beat. They seem to have, even though the meta might be different, it isn't different enough to throw them off. I think they had the best cohesion as a team, good understanding of macro concepts, and a really good understanding of how to win games. The form of the players is still decent enough to crush everybody. G2 is for sure the team to beat. I think Mad Lions looks interesting because the way Niski connects with his teammates really breathes life into players like Elioya and Armut, and I think a big problem for them last split was that it was very rare that you saw Mad Lions players, 5 players on the same screen, and there was also like issues with their champion pools last split, I think, and seems like Niski is breathing new life into that team, and they seem to be actually, connecting and fighting on the same screen with multiple people. So that's like very good. Very good for them. They lost that game against Rogue. Honestly, like that was so silly, so stupid how they lost the game, the Elder Dragon, and then somehow, after Rogue getting absolutely dumpstered for the majority of the game, they managed to get away with murder. Rogue seemed to be, I don't know, very shook. Rogue seems, I don't know what's going on there. It's like the Rogue is in complete disarray. I feel like, what's his name? Malrang is not the same player as he was. I'm gonna check if I can change the sharpness. Not sure. Yeah, Malrang doesn't seem to be quite the same player. I know that Rogue started screaming quite late. Not sure what's going on over there with Rogue, but they are not the same team as they were last split. And not at all. They should have walked away from this weekend with 0-3. But to be fair, the schedule wasn't the easiest too, right? They faced us, G2, and Mad Lions. And Mad Lions was a pleasant surprise. Very happy for Niski. A very pleasant surprise, Niski Baba, doing good. I think Mad Lions, XL, G2, those are the teams to beat for us right now. I think the game against XO, it doesn't really, we can't really highlight or compare how well either side plays, because the game was lost in Champion Select. Like that game was just straight up lost in Champion Select. And then we really griefed the first Drake situation. It's like Lissandra goes top to dive, and then we are doing Drake, LeBlanc doesn't hover, and we are doing Drake at the time, and we want to base and so forth. It was just very disarrayed. We got slaughtered there. It didn't line us up for the Rift Herald situation well, and then we played the Rift Herald situation really bad, and then we were behind with a comp that sucked dick, and that's it, Credit to XL, I think they play good, but I don't think it's, at least from my biased point of view, I'm not so keen to say that they are so much better in this moment, Why is Misfits so weak? It's strange, because the form of Misfits now is what I expected of them last split. So if I think of Misfits year, what is still surprising to me is their regular split standing of last split. And everyone said with maximum confidence that whoever faces Misfits in a best of 5 is gonna crush them. And it was true, right? I think Misfits seems to lack leadership. lack creativity, lack skill. You know, it's very hard to pinpoint it, you know, and it's unfair to like point to a specific player, because this just seems to be like a team that doesn't really function. Like, what's the idea of what they piece together? I'm not so sure. It's very hard to judge from outside, but it's looking very grim. What do you think about Astralis' performance so far? Yeah, I think it's interesting enough. You know, I think Astralis is the type of team that can play spoiler. I think definitely Astralis can make playoffs in the current climate of LEC. It's like the teams that I expect to go to playoffs is Mad Lions, us, Vitality, XL, G2, Rogue. Maybe I'm forgetting some team because I'm just saying them off the top of my mind, but it is what it is. I think that the rest is not the same. XL is decent. I mean, Astralis is decent. I think Chachi had a really rough start, but I believe he can play a lot better than he did. So I still have hopes, higher hopes for Richie Chachi than what he showed in the first weekend. Because that Sion game against Jax was was very rough. Very rough. Well, I think part of the sport, right, is that we have to assume things, right? We assume things because we have very limited information. It's like I'm doing the voice of Yamato, right, but I'm not giving you guys the full picture. It's like that would go against, like it would just be, you know, a conflict of interest for me to try to divulge information I shouldn't divulge that could put. That jeopardizes what I want to build here. You know, if I tell you the ins and outs of everything just to make it a more interesting podcast episode would be bad, right? But as viewers of teams, with the fun part about any competition, any sport, is to speculate, is to assume with the information that we have from the outside. That's the fun of it, right? But of course, we shouldn't say that something is 100% certain. It's like, oh, this looks kind of bad. Like, what's happening here? You know, this team looks like shit. You know, they're not really laughing on the cameras. They look like down. They look sad. You know, this is the information that we get to work with as spectators. So that's perfectly fine. Obviously, I have a lot of inside information too, and so forth. But this is not something that I would ever review. Why no bootcamp in Korea? Seems like I still wanted to do it. The things that we needed to work on as a team are things that we can work on here on the ground in Berlin. Going to Korea to get smashed, you know, I think that's fine if you function well as a team, you know. I don't think it's quite the same. For in our position, because I don't think we are lacking skills per se. It's more about like we are lacking the foundation. Well, we are building the foundation for us to improve as a group and improve as individuals within the group, and to feel comfortable to face harsh truths and to work on weaknesses. I would like to continue now by checking your Twitter questions. I think it makes sense. Let's see now. Mine asks, jungle is such an easy role, but who calls for action on the map? Why do we see less and less jungle sub action? This combo is still strong as fuck in solo queue, but people do not know what to do, sadly. I don't know if your question is in connection to pro play or solo queue. Solo queue, I can't speak to it, right? Because I think in lower levels, there is a lot of different ways of playing support and still win. You can like be hyper focused on just winning lane, or playing something that scales in lane, or you can play a champion that roams a lot and impacts mid and top and connects with your jungler. In solo queue, there's multiple ways of winning, right? Usually the most effective strategy in solo queue is to find as many roam timers as possible. The same thing happens in on the LEC levels too. It's like it just depends on the situation. It's like sometimes you don't need to fight 3v3 mid or connect with your jungler because it just doesn't give you anything in the moment. Sometimes you're just weaker. Sometimes you have to connect through bot, and your jungler needs to go into bottom side and play through bottom side. And in that case, roaming with your support makes less sense, right? It always depends on the situation. It's never black and white. But connecting with jungle and support is very important. You hit. It's like there's a certain point in the game where, let's say you do first clear into bot, right? 4 minutes first clear into bot. You want to try to set up a situation where you base on bottom side. You open up on the map with your support. Jungle usually takes one or two camps. They are going to be at their 8th camp, 9th camp. They step into river. Support, depending on the bot wave situation, either connects with the jungle, or jungle connects with the bottom side. This is the time where level 6 happens on mid, 5:30 wave. You clear your 10th camp. You pressure around Drake area. If you're strong enough, you make the bot wave stacking. Everything depends on the wave state, right? You can't just like up and leave and just connect with your jungle because you feel like it, right? There's a lot of details to it. Then afterwards, you know, the same line of thinking follows. The preparation for Herald. Is bot involved, not involved? Depends on the bot situation, but depends on the top side situation. There's so much nuance to it that makes it trickier than just saying jungle sword action, you know. But in most senses, like if you open up on the map, either you contest through mid and your jungle and support goes through mid, or you contest through bottom side and then you connect with your mid laner like that, right? If you want to control river. So I think if you want an answer, more jungle support action is usually like it's beneficial if we want to make like a broad stroke. FairConX asks, why with such experienced rosters bad drafts happen so often? Some more than others, but they keep on happening quite more regularly than overall performance of a team. Why there is such a disparity with showing experience on the Rift and during champion selection? Because the game consistently changes, right? The game consistently changes, and the addition of one champion can change your opinion of every other champion. Like, let's say enemy first pick Gwen. All of a sudden, everything that you want to pick in every role changes. And that creates a big layer of nuance. Dice asks, ever since the third game in playoffs against Rogue, Hilly and Mark seem to be off their game. I know you want to spike at the end. How are you planning on getting everyone into peak shape come playoffs? We just want to make sure that we build a culture of honesty and growth, and this will take a lot of hard work, but I believe we've taken the right steps in this direction by, you know, really pushing people to speak up and to I was starting to read the next question and it blew my mind, so I lost my train of thoughts. But I think I answered your question sufficiently, guys. Fart sniffer Andy, humongous chugus. Have you ever held your breath while taking a shit and you breathe for 1 second and you lose all of your progress? I've never done that. Ariel Martinson asks, do Fnatic have their own barber that visits you guys once a month so you guys look good on camera when you guys win? No, we don't. I wish we did. That would be very convenient. but I just go to a local barbershop. I cut my hair at this man who just his name is Tarek, like the champion. He doesn't say a word, he just points. I just say fade, short on the sides, 2 millimeters, fade with the beard, make it connect, cut the top a little bit, no problem, easy peasy, Picasso. Hernando asks, what is your impression of Binzu as a substitute? Do you plan on making him play in some scrim games? He was told too flexible for some roles. Thank you in advance. My impression is good, but it's not first-hand impressions. It's information I've received from people that I trust. My impression is good. I don't plan to make him play any scrim games because the way league is, like where the European League is, like if you have a player that loses an arm or a leg, like you're already in deep trouble. So preparing for that is a bit, too hard. Daniel asks, tier list for the last patch. I'm not gonna cook up a tier list right now. Also, do you think Belva is going to be played in pro play, and why? I don't think it's going to be played unless it is really overtuned. I think champions like that require too many things to go right for their dreams to be fulfilled. It's kind of like Master Yi. The reason you don't see Master Yi in pro play is because the dream of what Master Yi needs to achieve and like the ideal situation for Master Yi require like too many things to go right. Like you need to have enemy champs with no CC at all. Like any champion that's like reliant on like hitting a lot and like just sticking to people by just hitting them. Like those champions tend to struggle in fights. But yeah, I'm not gonna do a tier list. Like you are making a madness by asking for a tier list. Thank you very much, Harry Skills. Hi there, do you prefer tank engage supports or enchanter supports at the moment? I like them both in scenarios where they are good. Philoran asks, are humanoid and caps the best mids at the moment? I would say so, yes. Are you still searching for an analyst? We are in talks with someone, but it's complicated. Masked Swan asks, seeing as you have experience with regions which don't qualify as minor regions currently, what does that mean? I've only been in premium leagues. I've only been in the top of the top, the LCK and the LEC. What is the best way to get regions without representation shown more? I would say, like, make them play each other, and like at least in my mind, if I would be a part of a minor region, I would rather want to see my power in correlation to the other minor regions, rather than send me in to get slaughtered by T1 4 times in a row or RNG. I don't think that's necessarily fun. I think you need to give the minor regions a way to build storylines to create more hype coming into those matches. Put them in situations where they can actually like create a highlight reel. For example, the world format is pretty good. Like the playing stage is pretty damn good because you have a first tier team from a minor region playing against a team from like a major region, but they have like the 4th seed. This makes a lot more sense, like so much more sense. And in my mind, you just want to create situations where minor regions face other minor regions. I think such pride is nice. And then when you have those teams that manage to qualify, that manage to qualify, like the MSI format is just garbage, right? Because you just have like the minor regions are just cannon fodder. You know, they're getting slaughtered. Just have the minor region play against each other. Crown the king of the minor regions, and then you can have a lot of hype behind that team that manages to win against them all, and then you have hype coming into the matches against T1 and so forth. Darifu asks, did you hear about the Carmine Corp event in Accor Arena? If yes, what do you think about it and about this type of events in general? Well, I come from an era of tournaments being hosted and matches being hosted on road shows, so I miss it very much. I think this was brilliant. I miss it super much. I think playing over and over again in Berlin is not so great. Chadis, you say that wouldn't be good for viewership? How come? You know that some of these minor region leagues have more viewership than like North America. How did you came up with the Draven pick into Kalista? Draven has been considered a strong pick into Kalista for as long as I remember. I miss road shows. Like in my mind, it would be super cool that if in Europe we just play like tournaments and matches everywhere. It's like the first LCS match that I played as a player was in Lille. I played in France. It was a wooden arena. I believe the arena is called Zenith, and that was absolutely nuts. That like it was made out of wood, and I played on a prototype Fnatic, SteelSeries keyboard, and I used Expec's mouse because I was forced to play with SteelSeries because that was a sponsor. Yeah, unlucky. First timing with new gear. But I solo killed Alex in my first game, so that's nice. I heard numerous team owners voice negative opinions about this K-Cup event to Riot, saying it's unfair. Have you heard anything about this, and what's your opinion on that? I'm not sure. If it's unfair, then maybe Riot EU should wake the fuck up, you know, and start getting busy. Fucking, I think, like what has LEC had? I think the LEC finals have been really boring in terms of, you know, the production and where it's been. So, yeah, props to K-Corp for managing to piece something together, right? I like it. Kram asks, did it take a long time for the players to trust your decisions, or was it a fairly quick process? No, I think the main thing is just honesty, right? It's like you need to admit to mistakes, and you need to be open-minded. You need to, you know, have a spirit of wanting to learn and to acquire new wisdom. And I think this is something that anyone can appreciate, and I think with that comes trust, you know? So it always starts from first impressions, and then it's all about how you capture that and how you pay that initial, impression. How much? Let me rephrase myself. It's more about like you have a first impression. You come in, people are open-minded, right? And then it's just a question of how you capture that and how you build on that. TVM asks, is your goal a we are all best friends atmosphere, or rather a let's go to work and be professionals one? It's hard to choose just one because it often depends on the people, but I think the most important thing is that you have an environment where people feel supported and people feel like they can grow and that they have an opportunity to feel importance. I think in like working, it's important. It's like anyone wants to feel important. Anyone wants to feel like their effort matters and that they are irreplaceable. And it's like we are being best friends. That depends on the personality. Some people hang out more than others, and sometimes they hit it off, and sometimes not. That's completely okay. Some people want to be professionals, but it's a question of what is a professional, defining that, right? Like a professional is a person that is sympathetic and empathic with their co-workers and supportive, right? I think the idea of like, let's go to work and be professionals, like people have this view, it's like, oh, you just do your job and you don't fucking say shit. And I don't think it's necessarily like that either. Coco DCD24, how does the team play and coaching staff feel this summer split? We trust in all of you. Good luck to you. Thank you very much, first and foremost, for your kind words. Feels pretty fucking good. I said at the beginning of the episode, I feel a lot better this split, because I feel like we are a squad, the same way we want the players to play together. We are a staff that is working together, so that feels a lot better, and we're all more in line and in tune with each other. So it feels pretty fucking good. Nikolai Senels asks, biggest surprise evaluating spring split besides not winning it? Nothing really surprising. I wouldn't use the word surprising, just lessons and mistakes, not necessarily surprising. Just Super asks, has competing at Worlds and in multiple regions changed your personal worldview, and if so, how? I think that the main thing, like the first thing that came to mind when you asked this question, I read it, is just, it's like people are just people, People are just people, and it's like where you're from and so forth. Doesn't really matter, It's just people are just people. The same metrics apply. The same strengths and weaknesses appear, And the same measurements and the same processes can be applied in order to get the most out of people, Because there are certain traits that can be trained, right? Some people just have an easier time with them, and some people have a harder time with them. And that's it. People are just people. Fabibo Tropipu. I don't know if I'm reading the most weird name. I don't know if I'm insulting someone's mother. Confident for next split. Do you think those mid-season changes are going to impact the competition? Well, yes. This was asked June 13th, so it's quite some time ago. Yes, it impacts the competition because you just have a completely new method to figure out. And sometimes, you just need a lot more volume to find the right direction. Sometimes you find the right direction first, and other teams have to follow you. And sometimes you need to adjust along the way, and you need to just, the more information you have, the easier it is to make more accurate decisions. And when I say information, it's just like volume of games. Greasy Butterfly asks, how does it feel looking like a father of 3 for the past 5 years, despite being born in 1995? I don't really care too much about how I am perceived. It's like people, oh, you look old. I don't really care. It's like, it is what it is. Can't really do much about it, I use face cream occasionally. And that's it. I don't mind. Wukong asks, what's your opinion on Excel? Could they really make worlds? If so, what would they need to do to achieve that goal? They just need to play good. Just need to play good. It's as simple as that. Need to play good, play better than the other teams that are in competition. I think they're on the right path, made the addition of Nelson, put in Mickey X. I think these are steps you gotta take if you want to win, right? And you know, the key thing about XL is that I think everyone in that team, besides Mickey, I think they are in the best team that they possibly deserve as players. So this is like the best chance I believe that these players are gonna get, you know? Besides Mickey, because Mickey just is such a historical player with so much pedigree, right? So I don't put him in that same box. And they have a good staff, they have good momentum. It seems like the Korea bootcamp was working out for them, and I think that they developed and grew a lot in spring too. It seems like they have a good process in place, and it seems like they are a team that is capable of facing challenges. So definitely on the lookout for XL. Dayvirus wrote, if XL could manage to get Vetio, Nemesis and Fudge for top lane, they would become title contenders. I think that is hilarious. But yeah, everybody likes to underrate Nukdak. Which is fair, because he doesn't stream, he's not a personality that is too loud, and Nukdak is a brilliant player. I think he deserves a lot more respect. And Finn is not doing so bad. How can you make a discussion as efficient as possible in League or in life as a whole? Interesting question. Need to think a little bit about this. I think a big thing is it's important to mentally separate. You know, talking is just talking, right? But when you are trying to reach a certain conclusion, thank you very much, Hamudi98X. When you're trying to reach a certain conclusion, or you're trying to cooperate with someone, or you're trying to understand someone, something that I find that helps is that you need to separate the act of responding and also with the act of listening. When you actually try to listen, you're trying to find a way to understand rather than trying to find think about what you're going to answer. I think that's fairly common. But the efficiency of a discussion is something that you achieve with effort and time, because the way discussions look like is going to differ from person to person. Like if you have a discussion with someone, you're going to learn more and more about that person if it is a positive conclusion, right? You're going to learn about how they think and what kind of words, what language they use, and you're going to begin to build bridges in your communication style. But I think separating the act of responding and listening can go a long way. Because it's very easy to be like, oh, this person said this, I need to answer this, I need to talk about this, I need to answer this, he misunderstood. It's important to listen. It's like, what is the other person trying to actually convey, and then start from there, you know. Jakob with a monkey emoji. Any plans or anything you've learned after the mentor boom from last split? Or many plans. I think we've talked about them plenty, but many plans. Where do you get your shirts from? Far Cry asks. It's kind of all over the place. I have some Versace shirts, I have some Gucci shirts, I have some Eton shirts. Mostly I have shirts from Eton. I really like the brand Eton. You can check them out. It's a very good brand. Love it. Zaid Bouraoui asks, why can't Nico support be a thing in pro playing? I think most of the time other supports just provide better and more consistent tools. You have abilities that makes Nico a very unfocused champion. It's a very strange champion because the cohesion of the abilities is not like super insane, right? Like you're supposed to E and then you're supposed to Q, but if you support your Q damage is negligible, so your main focus is like how powerful is your E. E is a spell that's not super easy to hit. You can do some tricks here and there and be cheeky with how you morph into other people, and then you like use your ult out of fog and so forth, but it's just not worth the effort and time. You could pick champions that are specialists in what you need, because Nico is just a little bit too much all over the place. Kurth asks, would you rather sit on a cake and eat dick? Sit on dick and eat cake. That's a terrible question. That is twisted. I reserve the right to not answer. I don't even want to think about it. I guess eating cake is the only like pleasant thing here, so I don't know. Disaster. Paulus Lol asks, who inted LEC semis? Everyone did. The whole team. We all did. Peter Johnson asks, what do you enjoy the most about the game League of Legends? Team play, opportunities for outsmarting, theory crafting, always good to remember the source of passion. For me, is I like the general mechanic of the game. I think it's very smooth. I think it's a very responsive game. I think the way the character moves and how you control your character feels very in tune. Kind of reminds me of how like World of Warcraft in terms of and like World of Warcraft is so damn good as an MMO because of how smooth the movement is, like the actions that you can take and like how you can cast abilities, you can jump and you can hop and you can do all sort of stuff. This just feels so good playing World of Warcraft. So God bless World of Warcraft. And I kind of feel the same vibe from League. You know, I'm very happy with my control of the character. Everything feels very fair, and it seems like there's thought behind how it actually feels to play the character. And I think this is something that Riot does very well. I think also the lore of League of Legends is really good. I think the music of League of Legends is very good. I enjoy the graphics. I enjoy also the general change that always it comes with the patches, and the theory crafting of it is also really fun. So those are a lot of points. I really like League of Legends. I don't get the people that say they hate the game and they keep playing it. Just stop if it doesn't make you happy, right? It's like, sadly, most games are designed with the intention of making you addicted because they're trying to add elements that give you dopamine hits and so forth, and you just try to chase that over and over again. But I like it. Zultan Cat asks, are you gonna get 0-3'd in the finals or in the semis this time? Hopefully none of them. but I see you, G2 fan. FNC asks, Milan's Diary, as this person's name. Everything already feels different in a good way, and I want to know if it's something that the players and the staff is feeling too. I feel it, yeah. I feel it. Storm Rage 343, Titso asks, why do people force people to choose? Well, what's up with that? Titso asks. So why you gotta make a man choose? I enjoy both. Like, come on. Why make a man choose? It's like, I go eat dinner. I have a meal. I have a beverage. Maybe a dessert, right? Multiple things. Mo asks, how much does out-of-game synergy matters in terms of having a cohesion team in-game? Do you think players can perform well together regardless of how much they share when it comes to daily stuff, activities, eating, or living together? I think it's a lot easier to have the conversations that you need to have in order to move the team forward when the team is more connected. It's like the more time you spend together, the more opportunities you have to learn about others, and the more opportunities you have to discuss things that are going to matter in the long term. And I think that's what it boils down to. It just becomes a lot easier to have the conversations that you need to have as a team in order to move forward. And that's it. Slayer asks, do players take any draft tricks in solo queue, or are they just built that different? I'm sure players think about the champion they choose and the impact it is going to have on the game. I think it's very normal to just choose champions that are going to win new games in solo queue too. I don't think they're going to ask people to like, yo, don't pick this. You need to play this to win. I don't think they are try-harding that much. G2 fan from Scrims, who looks like the top 3 in LEC. I think I would say, and not necessarily from Scrims, but from stage, I would say XL, Mad, us, and G2 are the top 4. Tarhas asks, personal favorite weird pick you have seen or do yourself? I really like Azir top lane. Now that's one for you. Bruno, aka Brunio123, I want to know about meditation and how's it going for you? I enjoy meditation, but I do it more in the sense of living mindfulness rather than sitting and doing mindfulness. I like to pretty much take in the world for what it is, you know? Like smell the fresh air and to pay attention to the details of my surroundings, and in some shape or form this is a type of meditation too. Really being there, present in that second, that you're living in the moment is a form of meditation and something that I do on a daily basis. Oscar Veze Sunlöf, what separates the players on the team from players you have worked previously? That's a very tough question to respond to because I work with so many different players, so there's similarities and so forth, and it's like Wunder came back to me now after like the Splice era and the G2 era, and I think this group is just this group is not as talkative in discussions as I've had like in previous groups. For example, there is no one quite in the team that is like Whippo. Whippo is ready to talk about any topic at any point in time. You ask him a question and he will write you a book. And that can be very nice. But sometimes it can be tiring too, depends on the circumstance, depends on the situation. Bupo is I like Bupo a lot. I miss him. Will you win Summer Split? I believe so, yes. Hablas español? Just a little bit. I just know the phrases from songs like Ruido Sintético and Mueve tu culo mueve and whatever else. La gente está muy loca and Vamos a la playa and Yamato Charcutero. How many suits? I have 9 suits. Jort Deg, what do you think of the new meta and do you think it favors Fnatic? Time will tell. Time will tell. What's your top 5 hip-hop albums? Jarno Klopstra asks. Well, that's tricky. For sure, I would put Good Kid, Mad City. That's one for sure. Other than that, it's so difficult. Let's just say Good Kid, Mad City. Let's say Damn. Let's say Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. To Pimp a Butterfly. And then Section 80. Those are my top 5. In no specific order. Probably Good Kid, Mad City first, and then Damn second, and then Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers third, and then To Pimp a Butterfly fourth, and Section 80 fifth. Ha power. Abreu asks, did you ever stop and realize that at some point in the future you'll be thought of for the very last time? I guess in some shape or form I have, because I take pride in how I will be remembered. Would be nice if my great grandkids will tell their kids about how good this podcast is. But yeah, it's easy to feel very small in the world, but we are all connected somehow, Maybe a good deed that you do one day will, it's like the butterfly effect, The wings of a butterfly can move mountains. Imagine you help someone on the street, you do a good deed, and maybe this person goes on to save the whole world. And then in some shape or form you are responsible. And then it's like everything's connected somehow, There's this thing that I've repeated many times on this podcast. It's like, imagine you meet 1,000 people in your lifetime. Those 1,000 people meet 1,000 people, and all of a sudden you connect somehow to 1,000,000 people, right? And then you do that again, and you cover the whole world, right? So we do matter. We're all connected. Freddy Gazelle, how is your relationship with Ivan? You both look pretty close. Yeah, I would say I'm pretty close with Ivan. We live together right now because I don't have an apartment. He invited me to his humble abode, and that's quite nice. I enjoy it. He's a good dude. He's grown super much in the time span of us working together, and I genuinely enjoy spending time with him. He's a good kid. I feel like he's my little brother, Casey Laguerle asks, what do you think about K Corp in LEC as a coach, as a fan of LoL, and as a LEC member? I think it makes sense. Bring them in already. Bring that fandom and let's create some sparks. Let's create some historical matchups that people are going to care about for a very long time. Let's get some more eyes on the LEC and some more excitement. Let's get Cape Corp in the building. And then sparks will fly. Edward Taines asks, are you into watches? If so, what brands and what do you own? I enjoy Rolexes. Not because it's like the meme brand. Not the meme brand, but you get what I mean. It's like it's the brand that everyone always mentions. But Rolex really has a finesse to it. They are really timeless pieces, and they are very careful with how they manage the value of watches. They don't like oversaturate the market, or they don't do anything to taint their reputation, as far as I know. Other watch brands would be like Seiko. I think Seikos are great. Grand Seikos are amazing. And that's it. Is Frankie de Jong joining Manchester United? I would say yes. Yes, he will. Lauren Leonardi asks, top 3 luxury brands. I would say Louis Vuitton, I would say Gucci, and I would say Rolex. I also like Yeezys a lot. How are scrims going? Scrims are going decently. Jorbitz asked me this question. Decent. Better than last split, which is all that we need. Let's see if there's any questions on the other posts, and then maybe I'm going to move on with my life. I will dominate asks, what did Hilly say in comms as he tanked 3 turret shots and W'd the wave mid lane? I believe he said, I don't know what I'm doing, and then he said, GP no ult, Ezreal no ult. What a chimp. Oh man. Rob Mohawk94 is asking, if one member of the team had to protect you while the others hunted you, who would you pick and why? I would either choose Hilly or Wunder. It's like Hilly has like freakish strength, like very freakish strength. I don't know what's up with him. Like Hilly also like fishes and shit. Like if we are stuck in the wilderness, we can find food, And Hilly's a good time as well. I think Wunder would like run out of gas very quick. He's strong, but when we play sports, Wunder scaling is not so good. Neither is mine. It's like we both carry around a lot of weight, so we run out of gas rather quickly. Annie asks, if LPL teams have shown that fast-paced competitive games are possible and what this patch is most likely heading towards, why are EU and other regions teams still playing on the belief that games should last longer now, and do you think this will start to change? I don't think necessarily that people are thinking, scaling is the way to play now. I think there's always nuance to it. Even in the LPL, it's like what does scaling really mean? It's like most games are finished at 20 minutes anyway. It's like most of these fiestas that you see that go on for 30 minutes is either it's like often these games are not really correlated with good play. It's like, for example, we played against SK, we played scaling, but we won the game in 26 minutes due to the circumstance of the game. We took a fight, it was close to the Nexus, we had waves set up so we could end the game. I don't think game time is super important. I think LPL teams follow very similar patterns to gameplay as other regions. I think it's just a question of accuracy. I think that's the main thing. I would definitely say that the EU teams and NA teams are going to be worse, and the lower half of LCK teams are definitely going to be worse too. But the patterns always re-emerge. And there's also the same thing for LPL. It's like the teams in the LPL are not built the same. There's very big differences between the teams in the LPL too, in terms of skill. And this is just something that you sharpen with time, the precision of how you play. I wouldn't say necessarily that everyone in EU is like, oh, we have the big scaling. I would disagree with this notion. Fnatic Golders asks, when are you dropping your new drill EP? I wish I could rap and do music. Sounds like it would be a lot of fun. I don't know if I would be able to do drill. I don't even know how to like write drill. It's just so difficult to even imagine. Mathino asks, what do you think your pick would look like? Like my pickaxe? I would probably have like a mithril pickaxe. I'm humble. Mithril pickaxe. I like the blue. Yeah. Pedro Oliveira, what do you consider you have to improve on to win the REC? Good luck for the split. Fnatic just need to improve their individual play, their drafting, their macro, but it's the most important thing is the process of improvement needs to be improved, and then everything else will follow. You know, that's the main thing. And that process of improvement involves us connecting a lot more as humans, and to be honest and open with each other, and to build a culture of feedback. And then everything else will come into place because we have smart players. We have smart players, smart individuals on the team, and we have enough capacity to raise the knowledge to the top end. Jin Wick the fourth. Is Windows WoW addiction affecting his gameplay positively or negatively? I think it's whatever. I wouldn't say so far this is an addiction. I think he just likes the game, and it's okay to like a game. It's not like he's sitting like there up till 6 a.m. and like gaming, you know, and destroying his life. No, it's all good, you know. Everyone has the right to take some time off and do some different shit. So no worries there. Okay. People in the chat, is there something that you guys want to ask, or we're going to begin to round off the episode of Voice of Yamato after the Superweek? I could begin to talk about our next week's matchups. We are doing a game against Mad Lions. We're doing some games against Astralis 2. Fun games coming up. I don't think there's any team that I would be not excited to face. I'm pretty excited about the competition. Feel a bit tired because it's my birthday after all. Not the most natural thing to talk into a camera, but we do our best. Thinking back on COVID times, did you ever think that fist bumps are arguably less sanitary than handshakes if you consider that people often wipe their nose with the back of their hand? What? Wipe their nose with the back of their hand? Like, who does that? Do you think people just do this? I'm not sure, man. I am not a virologist. With the knuckle, like this. I don't know, man. I don't know why you are interested in this, Geshuk. And I don't understand why you think I have the answer. I think we move on, Geshuk. I think we're fine. We're good. We'll survive with not answering this question. I guess I will not sleep today. Yeah. Enjoy. How does the team feel so far about playing in front of a crowd? Is it a better experience with them so far? Yeah, it's kind of good. Kind of good. I think we enjoy it. Feels more alive. Feels more real. So I think it's good. What do you think about Starter support so far? Oh, picked a little Soraka, played a little Glacial Augment Pike. He's a cool cat. Seems to have confidence, and that's all you can ask for. We will see the development of Astralis, but yeah, this guy seems fun. I can't say so far if he's good, because I didn't look at the Astralis games that thoroughly yet, but that's it. Yeah, Shaves will continue to work with us remotely. Shaves is my assistant coach. We work in like a divide and conquer kind of style. I say, yo, can you look at Wunder and Mark? They are griefing. Can you make sure that they stop griefing? Can you look into it, see what's up? Why are they dying on site? And he's on it. He also does the research in terms of the scouting for the enemy, and I do the research of us. I have a question. Why is my boyfriend so handsome? Why? What do you mean, why? You know the answer to this. I'm so tired. I deserve some rest, guys. I deserve some rest. I'll catch you guys on the Flippity Flop. I'm so tired, but I thought that I need to squeeze an episode in, because otherwise I'll just push it forward forever. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys some other time. I'm losing my voice a little bit. We have like a cold going in the office, I believe. Bye bye.